Hey, everybody. Today is Thursday, March the 8th, and you're watching FCN Prime News here on the Fifth Column Network. I'm Tresnay, the she done changed her hair again news anchor. And until I get a legit glam squad, y'all will deal. For those who don't know, today is International Women's Day, and while I'm not sure what it does for me personally, I do know that women all over the nation are celebrating womanhood and advocating for equality in many areas. What I did find most interesting about it is that apparently every year on this holiday, the number one thing searched on Google is, what about International Men's Day? Oh, the comedy. Y'all do know how we do here on Prime News. Our audience is a part of each show, so don't do me dirty, y'all. If y'all are watching, say hi. Let us know that you're here. Let us know your thoughts on the stories reported tonight, which first will be this one. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, a woman faces charges after faking a prescription to fool her probation officers after failing a drug test. Ginger Sharp, age 34, was already on probation for forgery, and now she faces new charges for trying to explain away her failed drug test for violation of probation. After her test came back positive for meth, Sharp allegedly told probation officers she had a prescription for it and even brought in a pill bottle that read methamphetamine 5 milligram tablets. On top of this ridiculous story, authorities knew she was lying because although the prescription bottle had the doctor's name on it, the lettering was slightly fuzzy and just didn't look like it was printed by a pharmacy. After she got caught up in her lie, she admitted to the falsified pill label, but then tried to pin the whole thing on her friend. Whew, she's terrible. Sharp has been charged with forgery and identity theft since she was dumb enough to use her actual doctor's name on the fake label. Just say no to drugs, kids. Just say no. A Florida middle school teacher, he's going to keep his job after an investigation found that he used a racial slur in front of students more than once and told them not to date black boys. David Swinyar, a 48-year-old middle school math teacher, had a conversation with his students about the F word after he heard it being used in his classroom. He said to his students, and I quote, "If my daughter was dating someone who used the F word, I wouldn't have any respect for that N word," unquote. In the same conversation about dating, Swinyar continued, and I quote again, "If your boyfriend says bad things to you and or treats you wrong, that means he's acting like an N word. And you shouldn't be dating all these different African American boys because they are not worth it," unquote. He has also been accused by students of belittling them, confronting them in a physically aggressive manner, and yelling at them. One female student said that she felt uncomfortable because Swinyar allegedly makes female students uncomfortable by staring at their breasts and other lady parts. 24 students in his class have acted as witnesses for this report, yet Swinyar's response to it was, "I never said that, but if I did, I'm sorry." He then attempted to defend himself further by saying he attends a black church, and then laughed and began mocking black preachers. This man, again, only faces a 10-day unpaid suspension after the investigation found merit to all of the complaints. Swinyar's suspension comes less than a week after another Florida teacher lost her job following a Huffington Post investigation where she had a white nationalist podcast. This guy should not have his job. In other news, a convicted high-profile mortgage fraudster was sentenced Wednesday for convincing his teenage son to shoot him in his left leg in a bid to delay his prison sentence and scam an insurance company. Shannon Eglin, age 43, persuaded his son to shoot him with a shotgun in 2014 to cash out from a disability insurance policy for which he signed up just only 7 days earlier. Lying on his application, he also said that he had never been arrested or indicted in the last 10 years. This scheme was planned just a day before Eglin was set to start a 10-year term in federal prison for his role in a 2009 housing scandal that used sham business plans and forged loan applications to defraud local banks. After being purposely shot by his son, Eglin called the police to report that there was an assault on him, claiming he was struck on his head and shot in his leg when he tried to stop and help a pregnant woman. But of course, that plan to scam the insurance company backfired when his con was detected, and to make it all worthwhile, the shooting led to the amputation of his left leg. The district judge agreed with all of the arguments, saying this botched scam was an unthinkable kind of situation, and went ahead and added 3 years and 10 months to his existing 10-year sentence for the mortgage fraud. The judge ordered him to also get mental health treatment and counseling while behind bars, because of course she did. He was also ordered to pay nearly $90,000 that he owes in alimony, making me wonder if that was the reason for the insurance scam. In my biggest crime feature tonight, the first married Roman Rite Catholic priest in the state of Indiana is facing prison time as he heads to trial on charges that he kidnapped and assaulted his own wife. Are y'all sitting down? Because I'm telling you right now, this is going to have y'all tripping. Okay. Reverend Luke Reese, age 48, is a married Anglican priest who entered the priesthood in 2009. Him and his wife have been married 25 years and have 7 kids. Okay. This whole ordeal started when the scumbag confronted his wife when she was in the backseat of a car with another man whom she was having an affair with. Reese opened the door of his wife's boyfriend's car, kicked the boyfriend in the face, and then demanded she leave with him. She did indeed, but she got in her own car and agreed to drive to a specific location where they could talk. Well, once they got to their location, the wife did a dumb move and got in the car with him so that they could talk. That's when he locked the car doors, drove off, and began backhanding her repeatedly in the face while demanding the password for her cell phone. Yep. He took her to his church, forced her to kneel before the altar to repent, and on the altar assaulted her, pulled her hair, hit her in the face repeatedly, and continued to choke her while demanding that password. Did I mention he was doing all this while she was on the altar? On the way out of the church, he throws his wife into the wall, slams her head into the car door frame, and that's when she finally gave up the password to the phone. Tough cookie, she held out as long as she could. Once he began reading them text messages, he continued to interrogate her and backhand the ish out of her in anger. He then drove her out of town to her grandmother's house so she could be away from the temptation. When the grandmother called him out on his behavior, he got mad, put the wife back in the car, drove back home, where he began ripping off her clothes and tearing up anything in her closet that he deemed to be too slutty. He then began to read more text messages, got more mad, raped her, took nude photos after he was done, and threatened to use them to shame her to their church community. Lord, this went on for 18 hours. When the senior pastor of the church came to visit and saw what happened, did he call the police? No. Instead, he gave the wife $1,000 and told the couple to take some time apart. I can't make this stuff up, people. Here's the thing. Reese was already in trouble with this church. His superiors already knew that he had reportedly provided alcohol to minors at the church, got intoxicated with minors at the church, and shared white supremacist material with the young people at the church. After seeing his wife's bruised and swollen face, his superiors put him on a 6-month leave of absence. He is charged with criminal confinement with bodily injury, criminal confinement where a vehicle is used, kidnapping, domestic battery, battery resulting in a bodily injury, and intimidation for the 18-hour ordeal. And every single one of those church leaders should be suspended too for letting this dude get away unscathed for so long. Whew. In other news, activist Shaun has created a new political action committee that plans to elect progressive prosecutors to help reform the justice system. The name of this political action committee is called the Real Justice Political Action Committee, to help elect reform-minded prosecutors, sheriffs, and judges that will be passionate about reducing the number of nonviolent offenders who are in prison. Here are the objectives of this PAC. Elect prosecutors who will actively push back against discriminatory policing, limit and or eliminate money bail that has been proven to keep poor people in jail longer, and help roll back other practices that lead to mass incarceration. A second objective aims at building upon the work of Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. They will create a volunteer to vote contact network, small dollar fundraising, and social media organizing that will strengthen the voices of voters and hold elected officials accountable. In the creation of this political action committee, King is joined by members of Sanders' campaign, Becky Bond, Karthik Ganapathy, Michael, some white name I can't pronounce, Zach Malitz, and Hector Segala. Here's what's bothersome though. Earlier this year, Shaun King posted on Twitter that he doesn't support the candidacy of any person who takes corporate political action committee money because it's a trust and integrity issue. And then, not even a week later, he announces this pact. The tweets reveal, though, that the financial supporters of this political action committee aren't likely to be corporations, but rather donations from y'all, regular, everyday citizens. And that has some people worried. Before anyone donates to this, some naysayers are urging donors to be prudent to understand that Shaun King has a history of financial mismanagement and that he refuses to answer questions about where money is going. Whew, that Shaun King knows how to get a check, don't he? That's how you know he's a white man. This story will be highly likely to be updated in the future. Speaking of white America shenanigans, Florida has passed laws regarding gun control and found $67 million to arm its teachers. The Florida House Appropriations Committee approved a bill on Tuesday to implement measures to prevent future school shootings, including a $67 million program to train teachers to carry guns. The Republican-controlled committee voted along party lines to approve a school marshal program. The bill proposes putting 10 teachers trained to carry a gun in every school. No. Right? The state would reportedly cover the cost of background checks, drug testing, and psychological exams, and the 132 hours of training, but it doesn't address whether teachers would have to buy the gun for themselves. The bill also includes provisions that impose a 3-day waiting period for gun purchases in the state. It also raises the age of requirement to buy a gun from 18 to 21 and calls for $400 million to improve school security. Democrats in Florida have overwhelmingly opposed the idea of arming teachers, and multiple Republicans, including Senator Marco Rubio and Florida Governor Rick Scott, have said that they disagree with the idea. Many educators, including some from Parkland, where the shooting took place just a few weeks ago, have also spoken out against the idea. Yeah, because the way to stop mass shooting is to ensure that the masses have gun possession. Something, though, is just terribly wrong with Florida lawmakers, and it ain't just white people. It's black people too. In the latest coonery news, a black Florida lawmaker has said publicly that she thanks God for slavery. Representative Kimberly Daniels is the lawmaker and the sponsor of a bill recently passed by the Florida House that would force every public school to post "In God We Trust" signs in the school. During her closing and passionate speech on the In God We Trust bill, Daniels cited the recent shooting at the Parkland school in Florida and said that the real thing that needs to be addressed are issues of the heart. And to show people just how much trust she has in God, she said, "I thank God for slavery, because if it wasn't for slavery, I would be somewhere in Africa worshiping a tree." Somebody, please get her. File whatever you need to file to recall her election and elect someone else, preferably someone with a legal education and a grasp on separation of church and state matters, as well as somebody who does not romanticize, let alone justify, the horrors of slavery. Speaking of constitutional amendment violations, new documents have been unearthed about the relationship between the FBI and the Best Buy computer repair department, the Geek Squad, and it is not looking legal at all. After the prosecution of a California doctor revealed the FBI's ties to the Best Buy Geek Squad computer repair facility in Kentucky, new documents show that this relationship goes back years. The records also confirm that the FBI has paid Geek Squad employees $500 per disclosure as informants to the FBI when they find illegal material on people's devices. The documents released show that Best Buy officials have enjoyed a particularly close relationship with the agency for a minimum of 10 years, all in violation of the Fourth Amendment rights of of a computer owner's devices when they're being repaired. Best Buy has tried to hide this by saying that they have a policy of only alerting authorities if they happen to stumble upon illegal material, but the evidence shows that Geek Squad employees have been making affirmative efforts to find stuff using forensic software and other techniques because of the financial reward of turning it over to the FBI, which could certainly amount to an illegal search and seizure. This is alarming, people, not because child porn people shouldn't be held accountable, because they should, but because people store all kinds of information on their devices, and their right to be protected from government sanctioned searches should definitely be preserved. In pop culture news, drag queens have called out RuPaul for his trans comments. RuPaul, the world's most famous drag queen and host of the fabulous RuPaul's Drag Race, told The Guardian that he would not accept a trans contestant who had fully transitioned to be on her show. Former contestants have lined up to call out the host for excluding women, cis, and trans alike from the prospect of competing. In the article, The Guardian asked, would RuPaul allow biological women to compete on the show? He hesitated and then said, drag loses its sense of danger and its sense of irony once it's not men doing it, because at its core, it's a social statement and a big F you to the male-dominated culture. So for men to do it, it's really punk rock because it's a real rejection of masculinity. The Guardian then asked RuPaul, would he accept a contestant who had fully transitioned? He hesitated again, and his reply was, and I quote, probably not. You can identify as a woman and say you're transitioning, but it changes once you start changing your body. It takes on a different thing. It changes the whole concept of what we're doing, unquote. Former contestants of his show, however, came for him, to which Ru initially replied, you can take performance-enhancing drugs and still be an athlete. You're just not going to be in the Olympics. But later he did reply and said he understood and regretted the hurt that he caused with his statements. Boo, Ru, boo. This weekend, Sterling K. Brown will host Saturday Night Live, and he has taken his time to create his own promo promoting his appearance. The This Is Us and Black Panther and People vs. O.J. Simpson star will host Saturday night's episode with musical guest James Bay. To celebrate the actor's debut on the SNL stage, Brown took it upon himself to pay homage to the show's credits by recreating the opening sequence on a budget. He used a collection of random action figures and a boombox and a cardboard replica of New York City. And you can actually hear him yelling in the background, "It's Saturday night," in a very announcer-style voice. It should be noted that Brown, who has just a 3-minute appearance in Black Panther, is the one who is hosting SNL, not Chadwick Boring Boseman. A Wrinkle in Time opens this weekend, right on the heels of the huge success of the Black Panther, and after a premiere that has brought mixed reviews from critics. The film, which hits theaters tomorrow, is the first time a woman of color has helmed a movie with a budget of more than $1 million, and comes hot on the heels of the runaway success of Marvel Studios' Black Panther, which has earned more than $700 million worldwide since opening February 16th, and is being heralded as an important cultural moment thanks to its Africa-inspired storyline and diverse, gorgeous cast. A Wrinkle in Time, for those who don't know, is a science fantasy adventure film directed by Ava DuVernay, from a screenplay by Jennifer Lee based on this 1962 novel of the same name by Madeline L'Engle. The film stars Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, Gugu, a last name I can't pronounce, I'm so sorry, Michael Pena, Stormy Reed, Zach Galifianakis, and Chris Pine, and follows a young girl who, with the help of 3 astral travelers, sets off on a quest to find her father, who went missing after discovering a new planet. The film is scheduled to be released tomorrow. It was actually previously set for release on April 6, 2018. It has received mixed reviews from critics who praise the film's cast, ambition, and empowering messages, but has criticized its convoluted plot, tone, dialogue, character development, and the overuse of CGI visual effects. Whew, it's not looking good for Miss DuVernay. Let me tell you what else is going to get mixed reviews, but is going to get all the views. Netflix continuing its dominance by dropping content it knows will drive subscriptions, just dropped a clip from, quote, The Racheal Divide, unquote, a documentary starring the troubled NCAA president and lollipop saleswoman, Racheal Dolezal, who still appears to be in what social media users are pointing out, blackface. In the clip, Dolezal's son, who is black, openly criticizes his mother for permitting the media circus around their family to continue. Social media users feel for him. Ejima Olu, who interviewed Dolezal for their website, The Stranger, last year, she tweeted, "I'm sad and disappointed that Netflix is dragging out this harmful shit. Even more upset at how the pain of her teenage son seems to be put on display. Others are simply tired of how white people are trying to take credit for the black experience." Netflix plans to release the documentary at the Tribeca Film Festival beginning April the 18th, and it will be available for streaming on Netflix on April 27th. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I will be watching that documentary. I'm pretty sure it will be a hot topic on the Sunday edition. That's Sunday after it releases, because a certain producer in the studio loves his bae, Racheal Dolezal. All right, let's see what comments we have rolling today. Oh, I have more comments today than last week. Oh, that makes my heart sing. Yay. All right, let's see. Anthony Williams, he's the one who's making all the comments. What are you talking about? She tried it. Who tried it?
The meth thing.
Oh, the meth thing? Yeah, like, wait, do you think somebody's just going to put methamphetamine on a pill bottle? She tried it, though. I'm not mad at her. But you know what? When you do drugs, you get creative, and you know, that's what you do. Let's see. Wow, how is it keeping this job? Exactly. So you've done all that. You got 20 witnesses. You've confirmed everything that you've done to these kids is true, and you still get to keep your job. That's the power of whiteness. That's the power of whiteness. Sounds like something a Romulus believer would do. What do you?
Roman Catholic. The priest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was actually shocked that Roman priests could get married, and it turns out
married before, though, right?
Yeah, so there's apparently some ruling or sanction or whatever the Pope does basically said, hey, we'll start allowing you guys to have wives. I think that came after they had been sexing up all the little boys and maybe thought that having wives would be helpful. Turns out there's still just a lot of hate and evil in their hearts because beating your wife on the altar. I can't even believe you beat your wife on the altar. Like, it's unbelievable. No, backhanding. Like, it was all Ike Turner on the altar.
She had to be sanctified.
She had to be sanctified. Oh my God, my mother's going to text me. She's going to say this is sacrilegious. Let's see. Martial law? What was that comment to? The school. Listen, y'all. If you're going to make comments on the news broadcast, put a hashtag, put a something so we know what you're talking about. We want to interact. I want to know. Oh, Starla K. Mathis. Oh, thank you for watching, Starla. Starla's actually coming up next with the Thursday Wind Down. I'm going to promote that real fast. I'll be on that show too. But listen, this week on Thursday Wind Down, which will start around 8 o'clock, Starla K. Mathis will host. Gabby will be here as well. We're going to talk about quite a few things, but definitely going to talk about the crossover episodes that happened in Shondaland when Olivia Pope appeared. No, what's her face? Annalise Keating appeared in an episode of Scandal. And then following that in How to Get Away with Murder, Olivia Pope appeared in that. And let me tell you, it was good TV. I wish this had happened much earlier. In a lot of the news, this was the highest rated show or viewed show for How to Get Away with Murder all season by having Olivia Pope on it. It was great. So if you want to hear the whole breakdown of how that went down and how it impacted the plot lines and yada, 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 you definitely want to like, subscribe, and follow here on Facebook, the Fifth Column Network, so that you get that live notification when we go live, because we're going to be talking about all that tonight. And then after the Thursday Wind Down, it will be True Baller Thursday, hosted by J.Co. and the Reggie Mathis, as they talk all things NBA on TNT. Listen, they'll be telling you everything that's happened. You might even get some scores of what happened last week. I don't know. It's a very entertaining show. So even if you're not into basketball, you definitely will watch these two act the fool on camera. I think that's all I got. Again, like, subscribe, and follow. If you've never been to our website, thefifthcolumnnetwork.com, you definitely need to go. There is content upon content upon content. I think there's probably 200 episodes that are on our website of like 13 different shows. So there's something there for everybody to watch, everybody to enjoy. Just go to our website. You can even learn about talent up in the top bar in the red. Listen, there's lots there. So go there, and you'll even see the podcast for the Fifth Column Network. So those who love the Sunday edition but maybe don't have time to sit and watch, you can listen to all of our episodes of the Sunday edition on our website. So make sure you guys go there. All right, that's all I got. I love y'all very much. Prime News will be back on Monday at 7 p.m.-ish. Proud of myself today and the FCM production team because we started Prime News on time tonight.
All right, I'm you're going.
Are you kidding me?
I'm cutting you.
All right, love y'all. Bye.